Hello, loves. This is Annette of AnnetteLeonard.com, back again with another moment for chronic wellness. Thanks for being with me. And I wonder if you all have noticed that whether it's my thumbnails or my actual videos themselves, I am someone who talks a lot with my hands. If you are listening to this on audio, of course, that's not something you have access to. But if you are watching these videos, I would be surprised if you haven't noticed that I am somebody who frequently has her hands in the air. And today I'm going to tell you just a little bit about that origin. For those of you who don't know me, I began my professional career as a sign language interpreter. Many years ago, before there were very many schools paying attention to American Sign Language, there were a few programs in the United States that would offer you a bachelor's in sign language interpreting. And I transferred twice and moved all the way across the country to attend one of those schools, which is right up the road in tiny little Monmouth, Oregon, at Western Oregon University. When I first started there, it was called Western Oregon State College. Whoop. So I got my degree in sign language interpreting, and I did that because as a child, my best friend and I had gotten interested in sign language when we were 7 years old and had started taking a community sign language course, and our instructor happened to be deaf. And so I was introduced to a whole new language and a whole new culture and a whole new way of seeing the world by this deaf instructor. And it stuck with me. So much so that when I was in college going, what am I going to do when I graduate? I am going to get a liberal arts degree and say, you want fries with that? I discovered my aptitude for languages and remembered my interest in sign language and went, how do I learn more about this? And that's when I dug up these few programs. And dipping my toe into the waters of being a sign language interpreter, later going on to interpret professionally to get certified, led me to the world of people with disabilities. And what a rich, textured, important education that was for me. And part of it starts just with learning about deafness and deaf culture. And some of you listening to this might be like, why isn't she saying hard of hearing? Isn't that the right thing to say? And that in and of itself is a whole video series. And suffice to say, both are correct, but they are speaking about two different populations. And the two different populations are not necessarily separated by the degree of hearing loss, but probably more so by what language they prefer. And that people who consider themselves deaf usually use ASL as their preferred communication here in the United States, American Sign Language. And people who are hard of hearing are more likely to use verbal and spoken English as their primary mode of communication. Not always true, but those are the general dividing lines, not degree of hearing loss. But even just that small question surfaces lots of questions, right? About identity, about how we define disability, and this is the framework or the context for our next few days worth of discussion. So, what is your experience in the world of disability? Do you, with chronic illness, think of yourself as someone who is disabled? If you don't, why don't you? If you do, why do you? And let's pick up this thread and continue these conversations tomorrow. If you have not subscribed to whatever channel that you are watching or listening to this on, I would be so grateful if you would please do that now. And if you are listening to this on podcast, I need ratings, folks. So please leave me a review or rate this podcast wherever you are listening. And I'd love any suggestions for topic ideas or questions that you may have. Send those along to me. And remember that we are talking here about how to live well with chronic illness. So until we are together again, I hope that you can find ways to be well.